In today's video, I'm going to show you all of the stages I used to experience and I'm currently experiencing when it comes to coding study. I will use Python as an example to show you what you need to do in different stages. And I will also tell you some of the very painful experience I used to make so that you can avoid to make your life easier. This video might be for you if you are pure newbie, by which I mean you don't have any exposure to coding and you don't even know basic syntax like printing hello world. But this video might also for you if you have a very limited coding experience, you know some basic syntax, but you want to make more progress in your coding study. But if you're a very experienced programmer, I assume you are definitely wondering how people are studying coding in the upcoming 2025. So if you are this type of people, I will kindly ask you to leave some comments down below, share your experience, and give me some suggestions. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. Stage 1, here comes to a story. Lin was business student in 2023. In her first semester of master's study, she had no clue what the heck the coding is. Her life was basically surrounded by a bunch of Erasmus exchange students. They went to parties and a nightclub, they got drunk together until second semester when Lin got her first data science class. She felt she was exposed to, the world of rocket science, full of fancy but complicated terms that she didn't understand at all. She got very burned out when finally she saw lines of very fancy but complex Morse codes presenting in front of her eye. Then all of a sudden, she was hit by headache and her brain stopped working. Yes, that person was me. But in retrospect, I kind of realized I did one thing correct, which is learning basic syntax as soon as possible. Because at the time, I didn't have any experience in coding. I just directly went to the lecture, and the professor turned out to talk about some very fancy like machine learning or time series models. I quickly realized it just didn't make any sense for me, right? So if you are in exactly the same situation as I did, I'd recommend that you should learn basic syntax as soon as possible. And here I have something to recommend. If you want to learn R basic syntax, I'd recommend a book which is called The Book of R. And for Python, based on my experience as time I use Code Academy, I think they are very useful study material that help me learn basic syntax in both R and Python very quickly. And here are some mistakes I made at the time I hope you can avoid after watching this video. And these mistakes are very related to your way of thinking and your state of mind instead of some technical stuff. So firstly, I didn't believe that I can stick to the end because coding was too new, too intimidating, and too out of control. And this directly led to the second mistake. I was becoming very anxious and I tried to consume everything overnight, as if in the next day I want to desperately become coding expert. And in retrospect, I think the idea is very irrational. And it turns out this was not a recipe to success, but a recipe to burnout. So if you are very beginners, please take your time and trust yourself, because your skills really need a lot of time to be nurtured. Everyone shares the same logics. Even Newton and Einstein are not exceptions to this rule. The initial stage can be very challenging, but trust me, as long as you make it easy and you take small steps consistently every day, you can definitely make it. Then, stage 2. Lin learned some basic syntax after 2 weeks of consistent study, and she felt quite a lot of gain in her confidence. And at the same time, Lin is very ambitious student. She was trying to check in other people's projects and build something similar so that she can significantly improve her coding skill. But again, she was confused so quickly. She can actually interpret some basic syntax from these projects, but she had a lot of questions like what is NumPy? What is a pandas? And what's the name of the library that can make data visualization happen? And why there are so many functions in these libraries? She couldn't get used to that. So when she was checking other people's projects, she was Googling these functions one by one. But unfortunately, after 1 or 2 projects, you know what? she kind of realized actually the quickest way to release yourself from the pain is to quit. And here are some mistakes I made. After the first stage, I learned some basic syntax, but I mistakenly believe that my coding skills can be much more powerful if I just directly check someone's projects from Kaggle. But I was very confused and lost because in my point of view, that was not the correct approach to learning coding. It was pretty much just like grabbing pieces of coding knowledge without even understanding the big pictures, because someone else's projects from Kaggle definitely don't cover, the very, very important and fundamental functions in some libraries like NumPy, Panda, Matplotlib, etc. So if you're at this stage, checking someone's projects from Kaggle is not recommended. Then here's a question: what am I supposed to do, right? I recommend that you should directly learn libraries like Pandas, NumPys, and Matplotlib I mentioned before. But I'm definitely not asking you to learn all of the functions in these libraries, because each library probably has hundreds of thousands of functions. But I think you definitely need to know the most important and fundamental functions. For example, in Pandas, that's gonna be read, CSV, reset index, group by, etc. And in NumPy, you probably need to learn NumPy where, NumPy array, etc. And regarding Matplotlib, I think you need to learn how to plot some basic graphs like a scatter plot, line chart, bar chart, etc. So in my point of view, these basic functions are like building, big picture of your coding skills. And as long as you grasp them, and then you can check other people's projects and learn new functions along the way. So here comes to the stage 3. So at this stage, Lynn quickly realized the importance of studying libraries. So she spent a lot of time reading the book, which is called Python Data Science Handbook, and a bunch of other documentations. She felt quite excited in the very beginning of this journey, but with time going by, she was quite bored. Yeah, and indeed she learned a lot of new functions, but she didn't really notice any progress in her coding skills. So something definitely goes wrong. What was going wrong at the time? The answer is that I was trying to improve my coding skills by purely studying new functions. And in my point of view, that's basically the same as learning a human language by only memorizing new vocabulary. And for those of you who are very experienced in either learning human language or programming language, definitely knows where the problem is. Yes, the problem is that this way of the study creates no context. I did learn a lot of new functions pretty much every day, but the thing is, I didn't know when to use them. It's basically like learning a lot of new vocabularies when you learn a new language pretty much every day, but just tomorrow you forget all of it. And that's basically a very inefficient way of study. So at this stage, my strategy is that if you already learn basic syntax and a lot of fundamental functions in different libraries, I think you should definitely get your hands dirty and do some projects to enhance your understanding and knowledge in these functions. Because doing projects creates a sense of context. It does not only tell you how, but also when to use these, functions. So with time going by, they will gradually become part of your muscle memory. So you've heard a lot of my personal stories. You definitely think this is gonna be a very, very long journey to move from stage 1 to stage 3, but this is actually not the case. So in this part, I'm gonna share how much time I roughly spend in each stage. Based on my experience, it took me roughly 2 weeks to learn basic syntax, and I quickly moved into the next stage. Then it took me roughly another extra 3 weeks to get to know some basic libraries like Pandas and NumPy. So in total, I spent roughly 1 month in both stage 1 and stage 3. Also here, I assume you have a mathematical fundamentals to keep learning something more advanced. Then after roughly 1 month, I directly jump into checking other people's projects and try to build something basic for myself. And also in my point of view, I think the first 2 stages can be relatively easy, and the stage 3 can be very challenging because you will constantly learn new stuff, and also you will probably realize you will always be in the stage 3, because in my point of view, learning new functions, logic, and building new projects are pretty much like an endless journey. But please take it easy, just learn learn a little bit consistently but do it pretty much every day, then I'm pretty sure you can notice a very big progress in your coding skills. And this is everything I want to share in my coding journey. If you want to share your own experience in coding, please leave it in the comment down below and let me know. See you next time. Bye.